Hey, Kris here. Glad to have you with us. I hope you're enjoying our series this week on just thinking. Thinking positive, thinking selective, thinking biblical. Today I want to talk on you think too much. You ever heard anybody say that? Well, is that even possible? The problem with most people is they think too little. And when they do think, they think with their wallet. They think according to their political bias. Philippians 3:19 says, whose God is their belly. Some people think with their stomach. They just don't think enough. And I heard somebody say, I was thinking the other day. Oh, is that an anomaly? You just thinking the other day? Did you bother to think today too? Well, usually the problem is we don't think, but today, thinking too much. And you're thinking too much, number one, when thinking turns to sinking. Have you ever had that sinking feeling? You know, Zig Ziglar talked about stinking thinking, but Peter experienced sinking thinking. In Matthew chapter 14, as long as he had his eyes focused on Jesus, he's defying gravity and walking on top of the waves, but when he got his eyes off Christ and saw the wind boisterous and the power of the sea, he started to do buoyancy calculations, and when he started thinking, the double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, and he began to sink. That sinking feeling. And then number two, you think too much if your mind is racing instead of resting. In Psalm 46 and verse 10, David said, be still and know that I am God. But there's so many people that can never relax, don't know how to be still. If they're out at the beach with their family, they've got their cell phone going because they're still, their mind's back in the office. Or when they go to bed, they carry the office into the bedroom with them. There ought to be a lock on the door. It says in Ecclesiastes 5 and 3, a dream comes through the multitude of business. In other words, people have dreams all night long because they're counting liabilities and counting assets instead of counting sheep. And it also says in Ecclesiastes 5 and verse 12, that the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep. So if you're all worried about your stocks and bonds and performance and so forth, you won't be able to sleep. You're thinking too much. And then third, you're thinking too much if the result is confusion instead of conclusion. Right thinking should always lead you to a conclusion, but too many people have confusion. 1 Corinthians 14 and verse 33, God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. And if you're thinking right, it will end with a clear-cut answer in the peace of God. And so what happens? One thought leads to another thought, then another thought, and pretty soon, instead of right brain or left brain, you're scatterbrained, your mind's all over the place, and you're tangled up in a web of indecisiveness. And then number four, you're thinking too much if your analyzing becomes paralyzing. You've heard of the paralysis of analysis. Well, you get thinking too much, and pretty soon you're froze and unable to move. Intelligent thinkers can look at both sides of the situation, but there are people, the critic, the skeptic, the cynic, the doubter, the analyst, who sees sides of the issue that aren't even there. And then that does what? It paralyzes you. 1 Kings chapter 18 verse 21, Elijah said, how long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord is God, serve him. If Baal's God, serve him. But please make a decision. That's right thinking. And then number five, you're thinking too much when your thinking strays from the simplicity of Christ. 2 Corinthians 11 and 3, Paul said, I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ. I heard about a guy that was getting up to speak. His wife took a napkin, took her lipstick, and wrote K-I-S-S on it, handed it to her husband, and the guy next to him said, wow, that's nice. Wife, give you a kiss before you get up to speak. And he said, you don't understand. That means K-I-S-S, keep it simple, stupid. A lot of people need to do that. We think too much. Romans 16 and 19, I would have you wise concerning that which is good and simple concerning evil. What do you mean simple? It's simply asking, what would Jesus do? What does the Bible do? It doesn't take a whole lot of thinking. If it's in the Word and you know what the Word says, then the analysis is over. Some people think too much. Kris here, I hope you're getting a lot out of this series. Like it, comment, share it with a friend. We'll see you tomorrow as we talk more on this theme, just thinking. I'm just thinking.